I am putting paper shreds, mixtures with compost and worm and leaves and straw down in the bin. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and put a few eggshells in there because they have a gizzard. They need eggshells to digest their food. A little potato peelings on top of it.
Look at the camera.
I can't do this.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Put some potato peelings on top of it, and you come back and put a covering where they'll be dark and feel safe. Now, you never ever bury worms. You always,
I can't hear you.
you never ever bury worms. You put them on top, they find their own comfort level.
Oh, well, you didn't show the worms.
Oh, I didn't show the worms. Here's some of them. Whoa, I'm losing them. Now these worms will go down in there, find their comfort level, and they'll stay there. They will go down in the hole, get under the compost, eat. If they get wet, they move out. If it gets dry, they move back. Keep that wet.
So can you directly water on top of that for your deep watering? Wait, let me stop talking.
Yes.
Okay, wait, just tell them you can still directly water on here because tell them what the worms are going to do.
You can still direct water on top of that for deep watering. This is the worms can actually survive in water for a day or two. Okay? Now, under the right conditions. Now, you water it heavy, they'll just go down and come out one of these holes down here under the compost. Okay? And then they'll spread out till they get comfortable. As it dries, they'll come back to the water. It needs to keep this good and damp.
Won't they come back to the water and the food?
Yeah, they'll come back and eat and go back out. Come back and eat and go back out. And what you're doing is you actually starting a worm bed right here and developing your own kind. Otherwise, you can't just dump red wigglers in your garden. If you don't furnish a damp habitat for them, they're gonna die or they're gonna leave. So you need these towers.
And tell me about this big tower back here.
All right, the big tower is my for this bed. This tower is show and tell, but it works. I'm also in a little while going to add one more over here and one more over there.
Then why is that show and tell? Is it going to stay there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's
I'm
not
gonna
really show
leave
and
it
tell.
there
I'll cut that out.
because I'm really developing more worms. You know, my worm bed's doing good. I'm gonna start another.
Okay.
Now,
Why is the worm compost out here? Tell us a bit what you're going to do with worm compost. Pick it up if you don't mind and show what you're going to do with it because I don't know.
Well, we're gonna sprinkle it in here.
Oh, when you get ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now look, come in closer. This has some cardboard here left over, see? But look at this. You want to make sure you take off all plastic off your cardboard before you put it in your garden, or you're going to wind up with a flower bed full of plastic.
Okay.
Check those boxes carefully. I thought I had checked that one.
All right, now talk about renewing. You're going to say, now we're going to talk about renewing your bed.
Now we're going to talk about renewing.
Look here, though, smile.
Now we're talking about renewing your bed. Okay. You come in
Last
here.
year's bed, what happened to all last year's stuff?
This is last year's bed. He buried out.
What was planted here?
Huh? Oops. I got it out. What I'm gonna do?
What was planted here last year? Talk about it.
Oh, I had tomatoes here. Tomatoes, and they grew quite well. Not great, but good enough. That right there is field peas. All these little green things sprouting up, except my lavender, which I just transplanted. These, I reckon you plant field peas, they just coming back year after year after year after year, and they bear too. So, I'll leave them alone. They put nitrogen back in the soil, and when they bear out, it's just gravy.
Why'd you plant the lavender?
Well, actually, I like the smell, and it makes a good tea.
Nothing to do with companion planting?
Well, any herb up to a point helps with companion planting. And it's
How?
Well, the odor, the flowers, color, brilliant colors, and the different odors swirling around. I'm not saying it confuses the insects, but they might just take second best, not knowing first best is right down the road. You know,
Okay.
it's hard to say. But anyway,
So what are you doing here to renew your bed?
well, I'm basically show and tell again. I'm gonna sprinkle more compost. Quite thick, as far as that goes.
This is from your compost bin.
Uh,
Tell them where you got this.
Yeah, this is grass clippings, leaves, pine straw has been chopped up and piled in a corner for months. You go ahead and do that. Now here's the trick. If I can get to it. Now you got your compost. You want to use this.
Say what this is.
This stuff.
Say what it is.
This is worm food.
Smile. Look at the camera.
This is vermicompost. Now, here again, and I'll say it on every video I make, this is not a fertilizer. This is a supplement. It's loaded with plant hormones. So you don't need much. It's a live organism. It'll just spread out and start mulching away. Now, I plant my garden like this for two reasons. If you want to use fertilizer, you can. But now, if you don't have the mulch and all to kill the grass, you fertilizing your weeds and your grass, and your plants might get a little bit here and there and yummy. But without the weeds and the grass, you can plant a beautiful garden and not have to worry about pulling the grass and cutting. Now,
Okay, so you laid your compost. Now what are you gonna do with the cardboard?
I laid my compost, so now I fold this. Of course, I'll do a lot more.
Well, I need you to do what you do.
You fold this back over and get it down.
Actually, this is like you're doing it for the first time, so it didn't be back over. You lay it out around the pipe, say that. Don't say back over. Just,
You lay it around your pipe. This cardboard has been soaked, but it dries out fast if it's exposed to the sun. You go ahead and you cover it up good, really good. You really cover it up.
why? Talk to them about why.
Moisture. You don't want that
Talk,
cardboard.
you gotta
full of
talk to
moisture.
them. Why are you covering it up really good?
I'm covering it up real good because I don't want the cardboard to get exposed to the sun and draw all the moisture out of the ground. All right? The idea is keep the moisture in the ground.
Good.
Once you get all this done,
How often do you have to water in that deep water?
without plants, once or twice a week, once a week, whatever. But if you got plants growing, you can hit it maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But really, if you got a doubt, you come over here and you go under the compost and the cardboard, and if it's dry, water. If it's not dry, see, that's damp. If it's not dry, it's up to you, your choice.
If it's dry, water it. If it's not dry, you don't have to, right?
That's right. In other words, just check it out.
Okay.
Now,
All right, so you renewed your bed for next year.
yeah, first I got to water.
You got what?
Got to water those worms.
Oh.
Get them down.
Are you really fixing on do that?
Yeah, I got to. Now, what
So when you water them, it'll make them go down?
yeah.
Look at the video and tell them what you're doing.
I'm fixing to water those worms because I put the bedding down deep and I put some dry compost on top of it. Then I put some more bedding, wet bedding, and then put the worms on top of that. But I want them worms to go deep. So I need to soak it down good. Once you take the water down in there and wet the dry pine straw I put in there, and then those worms will go on down. They'll go down, find their own level spot where they want to be, and that's the end of it. They will start breeding and multiplying right here.
Does this one already have worms in it?
Oh Lord, yeah.
Say that.
Uh,
Tell them you've already put worms in this one before.
This is my big worm bed for a big bed. Now, this would be better off.
This is your big worm tower.
Big
Say
worm
it. Wait,
tower.
don't. I'm talking. Go.
That'd be a big worm tower there for this bed. In fact, if you soak that real good, what happens, this is not original. This came out of come out of the Far East. They have a lot of deserts over there. They found out if you put your tower in the middle and saturate it with water, the plants, the roots grow toward the water. They come to the water. By doing that, they conserve water, and the plants get what they need to grow. Does that make sense? All right.
Talk about how you've already put worms in this bed, in there before today.
Oh yeah, I put worms in here 3 or 4 times. In fact, this morning I dumped a whole compost bucket full of potato peelers and stuff in there. So I have fed them and watered them down one time already. It don't matter about the water.
All right. I think this is great for this, Daddy. Let's talk about worms. Hold on. Oh, I need to say something that these are multi-purpose. These towers can be multi-purpose.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop it back at the beginning. They're there to water your garden and also to do something with worms. Ready? These towers are multi-purpose.
If you set your towers up right, like the one I spoke about right there, it's a multi-purpose system. The bigger your bed, the more you need, of course. You might need 3 or 4 this side, maybe 2 that side, maybe 5 this side. It don't matter. But once you get it in there, put your worms in it, it's a multi-purpose. You got a worm bed, you're developing your worms in vermicompost, and you deep water. You're getting down underneath the mulch. That cardboard and compost right there stops water from going into the ground. If you just put it in there, it